Do you want your meetings to be more effective? Stop it. Stop having them, because if you're doing it wrong, you're just wasting everyone's time. Now, there is one way, though, that you can have better meetings, and that is by encouraging healthy disagreement. And so here's how you do it. Have you ever felt that you go into a meeting and people are either not speaking up or they re-speaking up, but not really giving constructive feedback? In this video, we'll look at why disagreement is actually important for teams, how you can encourage others to disagree with you, and how you can even bring up objections and push back yourself. Let's dive right in. Okay, so first of all, why should you even care about disagreement? It turns out that high-performing teams actually disagree more than low-performing teams. And the reason for this is because high-performing teams, when they disagree, they do it in a healthy way. So what does healthy disagreement mean exactly? Well, let's take a look. So here's 3 key characteristics of healthy disagreement. First, there's clear accountability. So when someone presents an idea, someone else asks questions. Hey, how did you come up with this? What's the rationale behind this decision? And then the person who gave the idea is able to say, well, this is my thinking. Here's where I got the idea from. There's also follow-up questions like, what would happen if we took this approach? Would it be good for customers? Would it be good for employees? Would it be good for the company? And if they don't know the answer, they say, well, I don't know the answer, but I think we should investigate further. When there's healthy disagreement, there's a lot of evidence used and facts and data and metrics. It's not based on personalities or feelings. And also, when someone has healthy disagreement, they're willing to change their mind when they hear good counterpoints. Now, the second characteristic of healthy disagreement is that it doesn't focus on the person. It focuses on the issue. It's not you're wrong, you're stupid, or you don't know what you're talking about. Instead, it's like, I don't understand this. Can you help me understand it? And then third, with healthy disagreement, you're respectful. You use phrases like, I feel, instead of you always, or you never. And you also make sure that you thank people for their ideas and their opinions. Even if you disagree, you still acknowledge that they had the courage to speak up. The question is now, how do you get there? How do you get to a place where people feel comfortable enough to disagree with you respectfully? The first thing you need to do is ensure that people know that it's okay to disagree. You may have a culture where people are afraid to speak up, or maybe you, as a leader, have created an environment where you expect people to just agree with you. Well, the first thing you have to do is tell people it's okay. Tell them it's expected even. You could start meetings with something like, everyone's opinion matters in this meeting, and I expect you to disagree with each other and with me. The next thing you need to do is create psychological safety. People need to feel safe to speak up. And so how do you create that? 1. You actively listen. You make sure that when someone says something, you actually respond to them. You acknowledge what they said before moving on. Don't just brush it off. No. 2. Ask questions. Ask questions to show that you're listening. And no. 3. Summarize. Summarize what people said to show that you're paying attention. The next thing you need to do is model the behavior that you expect from others. If you want people to push back and disagree yourself. One way you can do this is by acknowledging when you're wrong. And second, model the behavior of asking clarifying questions. For example, when you receive an email or a presentation from someone, you can send it back with comments and questions. This shows others that it's okay to ask questions, and that you're willing to put in the extra effort to get to the bottom of things. Another way to encourage healthy disagreement is by setting the expectation that when someone brings up an idea, everyone else needs to critique it. And so what you can say is something like, when John gives his idea, please spend a few minutes critiquing it before we move on to the next person. Another thing you can do is assign roles. So before a meeting, you give people different roles. Maybe you have a devil's advocate role where that person is given permission to disagree with everything. Or maybe you have a customer advocate where they represent the customer and they ask questions from that perspective. Another tactic you can use is something called structured brainstorming. And this is where you start off by coming up with a whole bunch of ideas and solutions. And then after that, you go through and you evaluate them one by one. And you can use tools like voting to decide which ones you're going to go with. Or maybe you rank them in order of importance. And then finally, you need to recognize and reward people when they disagree respectfully. Call out the specific behavior that you want to see more of. For example, John, thank you for asking that clarifying question. That was very helpful for me and for the team. Or Sarah, I appreciated how you pushed back on that idea because you were thinking about the customer and how it might impact them. By recognizing these behaviors, you reinforce that this is the type of behavior that you value in your team. Now, the reality is that sometimes disagreements can get heated, and so, if that happens, what you need to do is have ground rules for people to fall back on. So here's 4 ground rules that I like. The first one is no personal attacks. Make sure you focus on the topic at hand and not on each other. Second, make sure you listen. Just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean they're wrong. There might be something you don't know that they know. Third, you have to be respectful. Disagreement is okay, but name-calling and insults are not. And fourth, you should always thank people for their input. Thank them for their perspective, even if you don't agree. Disagreement can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary if you want your team to be high-performing. It leads to better decisions and more innovation, but it has to be done respectfully. It has to be done healthily. Hopefully some of these tips will help you and your team get there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please subscribe. Also, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll try to answer them. And if you want more resources like this, check out our website. Have a great day.